Welcome back, mathletes. We have our final lesson of Chapter 7. Our concept today is all about volume. We'll start off by defining volume so we understand exactly what we're looking for. And no, it's not the kind of volume where it's how loud or quiet your voice is. There are formulas for finding volume of shapes like rectangular prisms. Then we're also going to find those missing dimensions. So we've worked with missing dimensions in our last lesson for perimeter and area of two-dimensional flat shapes. But now we're going to be working with a missing dimension for a three-dimensional shape. And then, of course, anytime we have shapes involved, we want to label our answers with the correct sized unit. So our textbook gives us some information. What is a rectangular prism? We've worked with rectangular prisms before when we found surface area. We're still working with our shape rectangular prism, but we're going to be looking for volume instead of surface area this time. So peek at the bottom of textbook page 314, use the information, and then discuss these two questions with your partner. So rectangular prisms are really just fancy for boxes. We're looking for different box information here. They are three-dimensional shapes. We know from surface area that they're made from folding up 6 faces that are rectangles. This time, though, we're working with volume, and volume is the three-dimensional measurement inside a three-dimensional space. Volume takes up space 3 ways: up, down, left, right, and front to back. So we have a formula that is used to find volume. So again, a rectangular prism is just a 3D shape. It has 6 rectangular faces. Volume measures the amount of space a prism takes up in its three-dimensional way. We're not unfolding our prisms today and laying them flat. We are looking to put things inside. So if we have this rectangular prism and we wanted to fill it with cubes, how many would it take to be filled? Well, we layer them, kind of like the Jenga game, where the pieces are all creating layers, and we stack those different layers on top of each other until we have filled every single surface, but with height as well. There's a formula that can be used instead of having to place a bunch of blocks inside a shape and do a bunch of counting. And the formula is V for volume, length times width times height. Our textbook uses the word product, and product is just a multiply. So we're going to multiply the length times the width times the height. And when we multiply these together, what we're really doing is we're stacking rows along the bottom. And then when we multiply it by the height, we're stacking rows on top of each other. That's going to fill the entire center of a three-dimensional shape, creating a volume. So again, our formula for volume, which is a three-dimensional measurement, is L for length multiplied by W for width multiplied by H for height. The label that we use for volume, because it's three-dimensional, we use units cubed. So if we were measuring with inches, we would do inches cubed as our total volume amount. If we were measuring with centimeters, we would need to do centimeters cubed. Anytime it's a three-dimensional measurement, you're going to use your tiny 3 exponent, which is fancy for cube. And think about it. If we're putting cubes into a box, we're talking about a three-dimensional shape. Here's my example. I'm going to find the volume of this rectangular prism. You can see the formula is on my screen. Now, I am wondering, what is the volume? but I know the length is 6, the width is 4, and the height is 2. But keep in mind that these numbers over here could change as soon as somebody stood the rectangle up tall instead. So it really doesn't matter which one I call my length, my width, and my height, because all I'm going to do is multiply those three numbers together anyways. I could multiply 6 times 2 times 4, 6 times 4 times 2, 2 times 6 times 4, and any way I multiply, it's going to give me the same exact value of an answer. So 6 times 4 is 24, and 24 multiplied by 2 is a 48. So the volume here is 48, and I'm using centimeters as my measurement unit. And volume is a three-dimensional measurement, which means it would take 48 little cubes like this to fill inside this rectangular prism. And they'd be all stacked on top of each other in their three-dimensional little ways. We'll give you one to try, and just to practice using this volume formula, length times width times height. We'll pause the video while you find the volume. So your formula was just V equals L times W times H. And remember, it doesn't matter whether you used the 3 for length like I did or a different number. As long as you have a 3, a 5, and an 8, those three values are going to get multiplied together. And that's going to lead us to our volume amount. 120 is the volume, and our unit size was inches. So we would need 120 cubic inches, which means we need 120 of these little blocks that are an inch by inch in size, all stacked inside here over and over and over again to fill this rectangular prism completely. How'd you do using this formula? Did you get the correct solution? Did you remember to label your units cubed? So it's a pretty easy formula to use because we're really just multiplying some numbers together. But how can we use a formula like that when somebody doesn't tell us one of the dimensions? And so we know the total answer, but we don't know a height or a width or a length. Take a peek at example 3 on textbook page 315. We'll pause the video while you look to learn. I hope you saw that when they know this, just like when we worked with area equals base times height, and we knew the total area and we knew one of these dimensions, we could use an inverse to isolate this variable by dividing both sides by the base. And that would have given us some kind of a number over here, and that's going to be the size of the height. They simplified because there were two numbers that they did know, the 7 and the 16. So they multiplied those together to call it a 112 multiplied by the we don't know height. And then they used the inverse dividing by 112. The 112s canceled out, and they solved the other side with a calculator probably to find that the height is 16. And notice how that missing dimension was labeled. It's a straight side. It's one-dimensional that we're looking for when we're undoing a volume question. So let's use this idea with a couple of examples now. We'll choose the formula, and since it's going to be a volume idea that we're looking at, it's very similar to our last lesson where we used area formulas or perimeter formulas. We'll substitute the numbers that we do know into the formula. We'll simplify, and then we'll use an inverse, our opposite math to undo. Remember that this opposite math is going to happen on both sides of the equal sign. So we'll do the opposite to the left side and the opposite to the right side. And in the end, we'll want to stop and label the units of our answer. So here's my example. I see a rectangular prism off to the side. I'm given the information of 20 centimeters one way, 8 centimeters another way, and the W width I don't know. But I do know the volume is 960 centimeters cubed. My formula is going to be, for volume of a prism, V equals L times W times H. Now, my equation is going to be written with a bunch of my number values substituted into the formula in place of the variables that they represent. Since I know the volume is 960, I'm going to put that in place of the V for volume. Then my equal sign. Now, I know my L is 20. I don't know my W, but I do know my H. My height is 8. I'm going to simplify. I can multiply like terms together. A 20 times an 8, because those are constants. 20 times 8 is a 160. And then just put the little multiply by W on the end of that. The other side is still a 960. Now I'm ready to solve with an inverse. So I'm thinking opposite here. If the width is getting multiplied by 160, then the opposite of multiplying by 160 is to divide by 160. And I'll need to divide the left side and the right side, both by the 160. Being opposites, the 160s cancel out, which isolates the W variable, meaning it's all by itself now. And on the other side, 960 divided by 160 ends up giving a value of 6. Now it's time to label. Remember, I'm filling in this mystery width. And since the length was measured in centimeters and the height was measured in centimeters, the width is also being measured in centimeters. So my label is just plain centimeters. This width, or this rectangular prism, is 6 centimeters wide. We'll give you one to try as well, using the volume formula and an inverse. You can see your rectangular prism. We are looking for the height. Let's see how you did. Check and see if you chose the correct formula. Since we're working here with volume and a rectangular prism, did you choose the formula V equals L times W times H? When you substituted, did you end up with the equation originally, 84 equals 6 times 4 times H? Or did you put the 6 and the 4 in maybe a different location? Did you simplify by multiplying the 6 and the 4 together? That way you only had one value to undo. If not, you didn't have to simplify. You could have just done the opposite of multiplying by 6 to both sides, which is dividing by 6, and then gone and done another inverse. The opposite of multiplying by 4 is dividing by 4. Either way, you still would have gotten rid of all 24 being divided in the end. Both sides get this inverse, isolating the H height variable and solving for an answer of 3.5. The label should have been just plain meters because we're looking to figure out how high this rectangular prism is. And if the sides are measured in meters, then the height is also being measured in plain meters. So we find a solution of 3.5 meters. How'd you do? Were you able to use the volume formula and an inverse? Now, just because it's a story problem doesn't mean that anything changes. The process is still the same. I happen to have a cardboard box. If it helps to sketch it, go for it. This is a 3-dimensional cardboard box that I'm looking at here. I know the volume is 960 cubic inches. I know my length is 6, and I know my width is 10. The question is, what's the height? Since I know most of my values here, I'm going to choose my formula for volume. V equals L times W times H, or volume equals length times width times height. Now, substitute in to create an actual math equation. 960 is the V volume. My L is 6. My W is 10. My height, though, is the mystery. This is the missing dimension. How big is the height? So I'm going to simplify. I can multiply the 6 and the 10 together and really just call it a 60, because 6 groups of 10 groups of H is really just 60 groups of H. And now I'm ready to solve with an inverse. So I'm going to find my variable, and I know my variable is the H height. I need to isolate that variable by doing the opposite math. So since originally I was multiplying by 60, now I'm going to divide by 60. And I'm going to show it on both sides of this equation to keep it balanced and equal. The 60s are opposites, so they cancel out, leaving me with the variable H for the height. And now I'm about to find my answer. 16. And my label is going to be just plain inches, because the length was inches and the width was measured in inches, and my height is also being measured in inches. So the height of this rectangular prism would have been 16 inches high. We'll give you a story problem similar to solve using the volume formula. We'll pause the video while you work to find the height as well. Let's check and see how you did. Did you choose the formula V equals L times W times H? Did you substitute the values that you did know into the formula correctly? Did you simplify 13 times 8? Did you choose an inverse? The opposite of multiplying your height by 104 was to divide your height by 104. And did you solve for a solution of 7 labeled inches? This rectangular prism would have a height of 7 inches. How'd you do? Are you able to use the formula for volume and find a missing dimension? We're going to practice a little bit more together. Happy practicing!